In this video, I'm going to look at writing code to make an SVG yin and yang symbol, scalable vector graphics yin and yang, and then also some steps for saving it. So I'm going to write some JavaScript code to make it. But what if you sort of are happy with the design and want to save it just as pure SVG file? How do you do that? Okay. And then I have, as part of my page, I have those instructions. Okay. So here we go. And here's the symbol, and then here are the instructions. Let's go. All right. So I have a little bit of style. I'm centering, some centering, but then my head H2 header and my list items down for my instructions are left justified. I didn't like them centered. And then I have this unit, this variable that is 300 pixels, which is sort of half the size. So I'm going to make here, scale my SVG element to make it 600 by 600. So that's the overall size of this. My header, my SVG symbol, which is empty, but I give it an ID so I can refer to it and add things to it. This is sort of going up to this site and sort of expanding the namespace for JavaScript to include some SVG code. Yes. This is getting from the style, getting that half size. I called it M, which is then a unit that I use in JavaScript to position things. Okay. I'm making an overall circle, the large circle containing the entire yin and yang symbol. So it's a circle, it's centered at M, which is half the size, so it's centered in this. And then I have this variable frac, which I set at 0.8. And so I didn't want my circle going to the edge of my SVG. I wanted it to be contained within. And so my radius M is again half of it, but I didn't want it to go, the radius to be all the way to the edge. So I made it frac times M. I'm filling it white. The outline, the stroke is black. I gave it sort of, I don't know, a 2-unit width, which is fairly thin, and then I added it. So that was this great big circle. Okay. Then the next main thing is a path, and that path consists of 3 arcs. So I am, the first thing you do with a path is down here, ultimately I'm a path, but the main attribute of a path is this thing called D. M is where I start. So I'm starting at horizontally at M, and then 1 minus frac times M. So I am starting sort of at the top of the circle. And then I am making an arc. The arc has, in general, is elliptical, and so has 2 radii. For me, it's parts of circles, so those radii are the same. And this, if frac times M is the radius of the big circle, then frac times M divided by 2 is the radius of these smaller circles, and I have that twice. And I often don't bother to parse in things, but I do want to save the code at the end, sort of, and I wanted it to look nice, so I did some parsenting here, so I don't have any ugly fractions going on. Okay, so it was A. Here's my radius. Here's my radius. I have these. The first parameter here is an angle, sort of the orientation again of the normal arc is an ellipse. There doesn't make any sense to have any rotation because I have circles, so I'm just leaving it at 0. And then we have these other parameters. so I give a starting point and ultimately an ending point, and then I can have sort of my line's going to be my 2 points are going to be vertical. So I'm going to have this point and this point, and I'm making this first arc path. And so I will there say there is M is my circle going to be to the right or to the left? And sort of do I want the small part? So that's one of the parameters, sort of to the left or to the right. One of them is an angle. Doesn't make sense for me because I have circles. Another one is sort of, am I going to the left or the right? And then am I going for a bigger part of the circle or a smaller part of the circle? And that, because I'm doing sort of exactly like half circles, semicircles, that's sort of, I would say, not quite clear. So I just sort of experiment with it. Okay, but that's what those parameters are. And then my MM is that center of my SVG, which is the ending point of that first arc. And I pick up with my second arc. I don't need an M because it's assumed to be the M where you ended is where you begin the next one. But I can change to other types of paths, but so I do specify with an A that I'm continuing to make arcs. And here are the radii again. So the same radii, frac, times M divided by 2 twice because they're ellipses, 0, 0, 0 in this case. And my ending point in this case, I'm now at the bottom. So horizontally, I'm in the center M. And then vertically, I'm 1 plus frac times M. I'm down near the bottom of my SVG. So I made this arc, then I made that arc, and now I need the sort of final arc to sort of close it all off. So one more arc. This time the radius, it's now the bigger circle, so it's frac times M. And 0, 0, 0, especially with semicircles, it's always a bit of discovery, just sort of play and see what you get. You can sort of, for smaller parts of circles, it's a little clearer, but okay. And then I am ending at the top, and that was sort of where I started, M plus parse int of 1 minus frac M. So I'm finishing where I started. There is a symbol, I think it's a Z, to sort of say it's a closed path, but I've just sort of explicitly closed the path by sort of ending where I started. I add the path, I give it this what I've been calling my D is the D attribute. I fill it in with black. I have no stroke. I added it. So that is this black shape. So I had the big white circle, then I added the black shape. Now I just need my 2 little circles. So the horizontal center is M in the middle of the figure. Vertically, it's 1 minus frac divided by 2 times M. I have a small radius. I made it like 5% of my M. That I just sort of played with until I thought it looked good. This, I'm making the black circle. So this is the upper one. So I'm in a white region and so need a black circle. And add it. And then I am adding now the white circle, same horizontal, smaller, larger, but farther down on the page, Y, same radius, make it white and add it. Okay. And so that made my design. And you'll see, again, in code, this is empty and everything was done in JavaScript. But now let's say that we like the results of the code, but we don't want it necessarily now saved as code. what can we do? Well, we can follow our instructions here. What do they tell us? They tell us to right-click on the page with the SVG and choose Inspect. So I am inspecting on an edge, but I don't think most of them are Chromium versions, so they sort of all have the same. So I right-click and choose Inspect. And here is this sort of HTML. And we can see that the SVG is not empty. It has been filled in with the result of the JavaScript code. Okay. And then, so right-click and inspect, we've done that. Locate the SVG in the inspect. So here it is. And now sort of highlight that, and you get these nice little collapsing things. So, and you're going to right-click and copy outer HTML. So now I have copied that code. The result of the JavaScript has written things into the SVG element, and now I've copied that, sort of inspected it, then I've copied it. I copied it as outer HTML. Now I'm going to go over here. I am code. I am going to make a new file, and I'll call it yin-yang.svg. And I am going to paste what I just copied. Okay, so there it is. It sort of gave it to me all on sort of 2 lines. It wasn't very nice formatting wise, but there it is. And what am I going to do? Go back to my instructions. I've copied it over, and my instructions don't say to copy it over, but copy it over. Rewrite these instructions, copy it over. I need attributes because I'm not going to put it within an HTML. I'm going to make it its own thing. And so I want my SVG, my lone SVG, to have 2 attributes, a version attribute and an XML and S. Copy that. And where am I? And then I'm going to, with those 2 attributes, then I'm going to save it. And then I want to find that. Where am I in? I'm in downloads. There is the Yin-Yang SVG I just made. And if I just sort of click and open it, there it opened it sort of as in a browser. And it opened it and showed me the image. And that was the other thing I wanted to show you, how to save this code. And again, there's no JavaScript here. It's all the results of the JavaScript. There's the path, there's the circle, there's another circle, there's the end of the SVG. None of the JavaScript, just the results of the JavaScript by this inspect, copy outer HTML trick. Don't forget the version and the XML and S, the namespace. Okay. That was it for this one. Thanks for your attention.